Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Manic Movie Misfits podcast. I am your co-host, John Phillips.
And I'm the other half your host, Trever.
So wait.
I will never let that go.
So let me get this straight here. So the way you kind of worded that.
Yeah.
Am I just 50% of... Are we like, do we create one human being? Like, you're 50% of a human being,
Yeah.
I'm 50% of a human being?
Yes.
Oh.
It really just depends on, like, do you want to be the top half or the legs?
Oh.
Or is it different in the sense that we're a very disjointed human being because I'm a lot smaller than you?
Right. That would be some David Lynch movie.
It would.
Yeah, where you have that kind of
Mr. Lynch.
configuration going on there. Anatomy going on there. But
Yeah.
the good thing is we're not in a David Lynch movie. So it's probably a good thing, I'm just saying.
You don't want to be in Lost Highway?
No, I don't want to be in Eraserhead. I definitely don't want to be in Blue Velvet. Well, I'd rather be in Blue Velvet than Eraserhead because at least Blue Velvet, it's a normal, like...
It's a town.
Yeah, whereas Eraserhead, there's some other stuff going on there.
Who knows what that town is?
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but today, we teased it last episode.
Yeah. Something we've been teasing for over a year now, I think.
If someone has been listening to, which there's probably like 2 people, have been listening to all of our episodes, they'll know that they were probably confused because they just saw randomly that we stopped talking about ranking the Rocky movies.
Yeah, doing like a Rocky ranking or tier list or whatever it was for a long time. We started talking about that pre-Creed 3.
Yeah.
And then...
Because we watched all the Rocky movies to then watch Creed 3.
Yes.
Was part of the reason.
Yeah, it was part of the reason. And then I forgot about Creed 3 for a while. And so that's why we stopped talking about it, was because we both kind of forgot about it because I forgot to watch the movie. And then it just fell out of nomenclature and we were just like, whatever.
Yeah. But now we're here.
We're here
and
now.
we're going to do it. The Rocky rankings are happening now. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I love now that we have the cameras because I can just like do all this sorts of stuff. Like really just kind of...
You can be animated.
I can explore the space, as Christopher Walken says in More Cowbell. Really explore the space.
Oh my God.
Oh, also...
Ooh.
Little,
Little Waterloo. Little ABBA action.
Does that qualify as ASMR?
Close enough, I'd say.
I mean, I find it kind of satisfying, the little...
Fair enough.
All right. Is there anything, TJ, that we need to talk about before we get into the Rocky rankings?
Not that I can think of.
Not that I can think of. You know, if you're watching this on video, you maybe see a few more colored panels up.
Oh, yeah. It's changed a little bit.
Changed a little. Here. Once we have John will probably be on our next episode, hopefully, where...
Probably.
For those that are wondering, we're just going to literally be sitting down and having a conversation about whatever. I have some rants that I need to get off my chest.
Okay.
One in particular that you know of.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so it's just going to be basically a therapy session with 3 dudes. So...
Things we'll need for this. A bottle of Jack Daniels, a pack of Marlboros, maybe a few LaCroix.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I think we can get right into it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it. Okay. I think I say get into it, and then I'm going to say before we get into it.
Oh.
TJ, what is your relationship to the Rocky movies? When did you watch the first one? What are your thoughts on them overall? Do you enjoy watching them?
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I'd see like bits and pieces of Rocky movies. Like if it was on TV, like my dad would like throw it on. And I'd seen like half of probably all of them like disjointed. And then we watched the first one for the first time like 3 years ago? Like all the way through.
We watched it. I remember this. We watched it right after we watched Far From Home.
We did. So yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah.
Is when we watched that one. And then, I mean, I think I was just kind of like, I'll watch the rest of them. And then I never did until we did like our watch. And I love them. They're fun little movies. They're very interesting. Lots of them are very well put together. Very watchable, very fun. It's the basic gist of it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I would say a similar thing. It's there. A lot of them are comfort movies to me. You can just put them on no matter what you're doing. A lot of them, and they're just an awesome vibe. And if I ever need just inspiration and just get jacked up, go to a Rocky movie.
Oh, straight up.
And I love them for that. I had the same, like I said, same story. First time I watched it was with you, and we started it, like I said, because we wanted to watch all of them before Creed 3.
Yeah.
Glad we did, because they're those movies that, a lot of them are those movies where, are they masterpieces? Are they cinematic masterpieces? Are they 5-star movies? No, they're not. They're not close to 5-star movies. However, there's a perfect place for them in the movie canon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think like you look at like something like James Bond. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, who cares if it's not a 5-star movie? You're there for the vibes. That's something like that. Star Wars is the same thing. Like, I mean, Star Trek. Like, tons of franchises are like that. And I think like Rocky's no different. I think it's just like you have a fun time. Who cares?
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I kind of almost associate the Rocky movies with the prequel movies and some of the movies that aren't a part of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, the original trilogy still does have the vibe where it's like, let's put it on and have fun. But like, especially with those ones that aren't necessarily top tier.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Phantom Menace or Revenge of the Sith for me sits perfectly in that kind of Rocky vibe where it's like, it's a good movie.
It's got a little bit of camp to it.
A little bit of camp to it. A little bit of funny stuff to it.
It's like a Roger Moore Bond movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like some of those.
That, you know what? That is actually the perfect analogy. Roger Moore Bond movies and Rocky movies, really.
Yeah.
Like most of the Rocky movies.
Late Connery, early Roger Moore.
Yes. Dude, we need to talk about more Bond movies on the... It's been a while since we've had a good Bond conversation, dude.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this yesterday, actually, because I was like, man, I want to rewatch a lot of more ones because it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
That one and License to Kill. I rewatched all the Brosnans like last year, and then
yeah, you went through quite a few of them. Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I watched all those, and I watched like maybe 3 or 4 other ones. So I watched a bunch of them like last year, but like I definitely want to like revisit a few more that like I haven't seen in like 4 years. So who knows? Maybe it'll be fun.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about it on the podcast. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
All right, let's do this, TJ. Let's rank
Rocky.
How many movies are there now? The list should tell me right off the bat. Okay, there's 9, right? 6.
6 originals, 3 creeds.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna rank all 9. We'll go from 9th to 1st.
Yeah.
And then basically, TJ, unless you have a better idea, which my ideas are the best ideas, so I don't even know why I'm asking this question, but
sure.
I'm thinking we'll go from 9 to 1, and then we'll each give our 9, and then 8, and then 7.
Yeah, kind of like Spotify Wrapped kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or most of our rankings.
Yeah, and we kind of, TJ compared both of ours just briefly, and he said that most of them are similar, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I pulled it up because I don't have like a list going. And I kind of pulled up yours to like have them all in one place, and in the little bit I saw, it was like, oh, it's pretty similar. So I'm guessing we'll have pretty close opinions.
Yeah.
So
okay, coming in at number 9 is the wonderful, the spectacular.
Oh God.
Rocky 5.
Oh God. Same here. Yeah.
This movie borderline actually pissed me off because
really.
No, okay.
Actually, I can see getting frustrated at this movie.
Because, like I said, to start this conversation, I do have a passion for these movies and the Rocky character. There are so many things that they do with the Rocky character in this movie that just like deconstruct everything that had happened in the prior movies. First and foremost, on a like surface level of the character, there's this really stupid plot like element where somehow he loses all of his wealth because of some stupid legal thing, or it's been a while. I don't remember what it was, but I remember immediately thinking this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard.
I think it's his accountant steals it all.
Yeah. That is it's
Because
just
it's like Paulie sets him up with someone to do his taxes, and then like that person like ends up just stealing all of his money, and it's like, what?
it's so stupid.
It's pretty dumb. Like, I get trying to like go back to like the original vibes of Rocky,
Yeah.
but that was not the way to do it. It's incredibly goofy. And yeah, like the first like 5 minutes of that movie, I was like, is this movie not gonna be as bad as I think it is?
Yeah.
And then like it continued, and I was like, oh no.
I'm glad you brought that up because what you remind me of is the locker room scene
Oh yeah,
after the fight from Rocky 4 is actually quite good.
yeah.
It is.
It's a great scene.
It's emotional. It is well done.
Yeah,
But past that, for the most part,
yeah. It's few and far between in this movie, which is sad because like the original director comes back, and like it seems like it's gonna be this like brave new territory for like the Rocky movies, and then it wasn't. It sucks.
so bad.
It's pretty bad.
So bad. Yeah, and at the end you have this. He has this basically the antagonist they set up for this film is this Tommy guy.
Tommy Gunn.
Tommy Gunn. What a name, first of all.
It's amazing.
What a
I
name.
love it.
And basically Rocky trains him, and then Tommy Gunn goes against Rocky because he's being told that Rocky's holding him back
Yeah.
from success or because for whatever reason. And it just, and then at the climax is him fighting Tommy Gunn in the street.
It's a street fight, and it's the goofiest shit. I don't like it.
It's extremely cheesy. It is about as cheesy goes for a movie like that.
Yeah. Especially like training like a coach kind of movie like that. It's like incredibly cheesy. And it throws away the whole logic of Rocky can't fight. And it's like, if he can fight here, he could fight in the ring. Hypothetically. I'm just saying. But
the son storyline is not that great either.
I can't even remember what the son does in the movie.
Yeah, basically the son's upset because Rocky's part of the son's arc is he's upset because he's spending so much time with Tommy Gunn training him.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah.
And he feels that Rocky doesn't see anything in him because he's weaker and he can't box.
Yeah. I mean, like, I get the idea of it, but it was just like, it's so dumb. The movie as a whole is just, it's dumb. It's every trope that you can see about like a professional athlete going to like teaching. It's every trope of that internalized in a Rocky movie. And it's just like, what is the point?
TJ's review, Rocky 5, quote, "It's dumb."
Straight up.
It's true. It is true.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up, what did you bring up that was important? Oh, that he also learns in this movie that he can't fight because of all the brain damage. This is relevant, obviously, not only for what TJ mentioned in the climax of this movie, but also the next movie.
Oh.
Which we'll get to.
Spoilers for some of these movies. We've kind of touched on spoilers.
Yeah.
Who cares about Rocky 5 because it's not that good?
Yes.
We're sorry.
Yeah. Don't get worried here. Rocky 5 isn't even worth your time. But
no, straight up. I remember my dad. I was like with my dad, and I was like, as a kid, and I was like, how good is Rocky 5? And he's like, it sucks. And I remember like thinking about that as I was watching that movie, and I was like, oh, he was right.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No, it's not. So yes, TJ bringing up the point that he can't fight is very relevant for Rocky Balboa, which is the name of the sixth movie in the franchise. Sixth movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
Which this part I can say because it's in the trailers, it's in the promotions for the movie. He does end up fighting again in the boxing ring after being told in Rocky 5 that he cannot fight because of the brain damage that he has sustained.
Yeah. It's a very odd movie, just as a whole. So, are we going on to the next movie?
So that's my number 8. Is that your number 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here. It's not like the worst. I mean, a movie as a whole, like I'll give it that. Like,
I would agree.
It has some good scenes in there. Like the boxing at the end isn't bad. the fighting of it's pretty decent. Like it has its moments. It's just like it's not that good a movie.
No.
The writing is all over the place. The plot setup is really dumb, like the other one. It's just like it's all over the place, like the last one. But
they do try things, which is nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a moment where you have Rocky trying to connect with his son in this movie, from the son from the fifth one, which I think actually there's some scenes that really work. Mm-hmm. I think a scene and a relationship that does genuinely work in this film is the relationship between Rocky and that one woman?
Yeah.
With her son, and helping them out. That's very much the Rocky that we like the Rocky that's helping people around him, that's
Straight
trying
up.
to bring other people up as he's trying to succeed in life.
Mm-hmm.
That's characteristics that are rooted in the character all the way from the first movie. You know,
Exactly.
and the first few movies, helping Paulie out. Obviously, you know, he marries, what's her name? Adrian, of course. Yo, Adrian.
Yeah.
That's rooted in the character from the very beginning. So I thought those scenes were very relevant and made a lot of sense.
It was a good way to kick off the plot, because I was like, that's like the opening, like I'd say third of the movie is like him connecting with the woman, and then they have like 2 scenes of him connecting with the son, but it doesn't really, or like the son of the woman, but like it doesn't go anywhere, so it kind of just feels really weird by the end of the movie.
But at the same time, you almost see that's almost a very realistic thing, though.
It is, but at
in
the same
those
time,
kind of
it sets up like it's going to be like a big plot point in the movie, and then it doesn't, and it's like, well, why focus on this so much for like 10 minutes and then go nowhere with it writing wise?
Yeah,
it just feels like a dead end, even though it is kind of how it would go in something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, again, the fighting scenes you brought up are, as I'm beating myself up on this table.
We tend to do that a lot.
I know. I sit, like, I don't want to, the thing is I don't want to sit too far back.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit too far forward, so I feel like this is the good spot. But the problem is every time I do my tornado...
Your
commotion with my hands.
The locomotion. Yeah.
I'll come down, I'll go like this, and I'll come down, I'll just go whack.
I do the same thing. I'll like start to use my hands in some sort of manner. I hit the table. I'm like, oh my god.
By the end of it, we're just like Rocky in the Rocky movies. Our knuckles are just all torn up,
bruised and destroyed. Yeah.
We basically were boxing, you know.
Yeah. Same thing. Podcasting, boxing, same thing.
Same thing, really. You know, you're both trying to perform at a very high level.
Oh, totally.
You're both searching for excellence in a craft.
Well, they're Michael Mann. Oh yeah, Rocky 6, Rocky Balboa.
Let's cut the mini moves and the bullshit and get on with this big romance.
Does Rocky say that?
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Deleted scene, but they had to cut it out because Michael Mann obviously had that line in his movie, and they didn't want to get
it gets sued.
They didn't want Michael Mann to get pissed off.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But,
is there anything else you want to say about Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6?
Yeah, it's not a bad one. I'll give it that. Like, it's an enjoyable watch when you throw it on, and like, I think it does go a lot more into the vibes of like the first few movies, better than the fifth one, which is kind of what it goes for. It's a solid movie. I'll give it that.
Yeah. Again, him fighting in the ring at that age is hard to get over.
Oh, the logic of it's pretty dumb.
But the choreography actually is worthy of watching.
Exactly.
It's actually pretty fun to watch, all things considered.
Yeah. If you can get over the dumb plot logic and some of that, like, it's a good watch. Let's be real.
Yeah. All right. Coming in at number 7, I have Creed 2.
Same.
Okay. So far we're 3 for 3. We agree.
Yeah.
This movie
bores me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be straight up. I don't think this movie's that enjoyable.
There's so many for me. There were several moments in the movie that were promising that didn't pan out, and obviously on the biggest being Dolph Lundgren coming back and having is it his son?
Yeah.
That's boxing.
Yeah, it's because it's the Creed v Drago rematch
Right.
or legacy match kind of
And that in itself should have so much
weight.
because obviously, as we know from, is that a spoiler that everyone knows that we can just say?
I feel like it is. Spoiler for Rocky 4 if you're just watching this and want to watch Rocky movies, spoiler for Rocky 4 because it's a great scene.
It is a great scene.
It's one of the best of the series if we're being real.
Yes, it is. Genuinely, again, we're not talking about Rocky 4 right now, but as far as the development of that scene in Rocky 4 and what happens, it's awesome.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, the stakes are extremely high. We can get to it later if we want, but the stakes should be so high, and because of that, you should be able to make a really high stakes, good movie out of that. Some good quality character development, character dynamics out of that, good writing out of that, but it just lacks in so many ways as far as trying to fully establish and benefit off of the stakes that you already have from prior movies.
Yeah. I think this is Creed 2 is like the epitome of every problem I have with Creed. Like the Creed movies is I feel like, or at least like Creed 1 and 2, where it's like they're so like shakily written at points, and it's just like this should be something that was cleared up a movie and a half ago. But you're just you neglect to dwell on it until the last minute, and it's like why? And so like there's like it's like I feel like Creed 2 in my opinion is just Adonis walking around for 2 hours and being like, man, I wish I could fight like my dad, and then like and then at the end he magically like does, and it's like, what is this movie? It's not that fun. Like I started it up and I was like, this movie has the possibility of being awesome.
Definitely.
And then I got like 20 minutes in, and then it started, and I was like, oh no. And then it continued that way for like another like hour and 45 minutes, and I was like, Adonis, are you gonna do anything actually worthy of your character, or are you just gonna complain the whole movie? And that's kind of what he does in this movie, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I would, and a point you made extends through all three movies, which is, except for maybe I think the third one, we get a little bit more. How should I put this? Depth from Michael B. Jordan's character.
Yeah.
But overall, in all three movies, he doesn't develop.
Shallow.
He's very shallow. And if he does come to a conclusion that is technically supposed to help him develop as a character, it's very quick. It just kind of happens right away. Yeah, there's no gradual progression for any of that.
It happens at like a very random point, and it kind of just happens. And it's like, this was a problem in the last movie. Why is it getting resolved here when it should be resolved in the last movie? When you talk about it for an hour, I don't know. I just the Creed movies boggle my mind, and it's like people love them, and I'm like,
see, it bothers you way more than it bothers me.
It's not that like I hate these movies or something like that, but like I'm like, how do people like defend such weird writing for this like so much? And it's like, because I'll voice my opinions on Creed 1 in a few minutes, but like everyone talks about like how some of these movies have like such good writing, and I'm like, they don't. Adonis is boring. He's not that great of a main character, and then everyone just seems to like forget that he's bad writing, and they're like, it's Michael B. Jordan, he's cool, and I'm like, yeah, he's cool, but like the writing of his own character is so bland and flat. It's like, why watch a character like this? It's in my opinion, it's more fun to watch Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, I don't disagree with any of that. I think definitely watching Anakin Skywalker is more interesting. Anakin Skywalker, there is actual signs of change in his character.
The writing for him is actually interesting, despite Hayden Christensen not being the best actor. Even though we love him, he's a gem.
And even though, and it should be made clear, I keep saying this every time I bring it up because I feel like I have to defend him. George Lucas sucks at actually trying to help actors act.
Yeah.
So it's not really
fault.
Most of that at least part of that performance is definitely not his fault.
Yeah. it's a weird mix of both, but
Yeah.
we love Hayden. He's a gem.
Yes, and we're glad he's getting the appreciation he deserves recently.
He's getting his renaissance, which good shit.
That's right. I don't disagree with what you said. I think the best parts of these Creed movies are the technical stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are some great technical pieces in the first one, which we'll get to in a second, as you said.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we can move on. I actually really don't have much to say about.
I don't have much to say about Creed 2. I think it had such a promise, and then was not amazing. Yeah. I just find myself getting really bored, even though it's a better movie than the other two.
Just very disappointed after, especially with how much I love Rocky 4. The stakes in that movie and the tension in that movie between Drago, Rocky, and Apollo at certain points in that film are as good as it gets in a movie like that.
Yeah.
So for then basically that sequel within a franchise, right? You could almost consider Creed 2 a direct sequel in a sense.
Yeah.
From just skipping you could technically, if you wanted to, just do it Rocky 4 then do a Creed 2. You could do that.
Yeah. I mean, you'd probably have to see like Creed in the middle, but like other than that, like if you were just rewatching, you could jump. There's no problems.
And so for those two movies to have that connection and then Creed 2 turning out as it did, sucks.
It's a big disappointment in my mind. I might like it more on rewatch, but on first watches a while ago, I was like, this movie is ungodly disappointing.
All right, this is where it gets interesting because I think we disagree here.
I think we do.
So I have Creed 3 at 6 and Creed at 5.
Yeah, and I have the opposite.
Okay, so why TJ? I'll let you go first.
Okay.
And we've had this conversation a little bit before too.
We have.
Why do you like Creed 3 more than Creed?
Creed 3 is a full movie.
Okay.
I actually like the writing of Creed 3, like as a whole, where it's not as technically impressive as a movie or like this great like intro story or something like that. It's an actual complete movie at the end of the day. My biggest problem with Creed, the first one, is that like it starts off so strong. It's a great intro story. I love the relationship with Rocky. I love the first hour and a half of it. The last 30 minutes of that movie are so boring and like not interesting at all because they just throw away like everything great about Adonis that they've set up. And he's like, man, I don't want to be a Creed. And then it's like, you have to be a Creed to fight in this match. And then he kind of just is. And it's like, this should be a whole thing. This should be the last like third of your movie. Oh shit.
She's just beating up the mic now.
But it isn't. And it's like, and then that's part of the thing where it's like, they randomly bring that back up in 2. And it's like, this should be finished already. This is the main like internal conflict of your first movie. Why is it not resolved? What? I don't know. And then with 3, I feel like it started off like with a very interesting, just like Adonis is even keel. He's like an actually resolved character. He's very even, like he's even keel, and he like resolves his own problems within the movie, and it's actually a well-rounded movie. Although it doesn't have higher highs like technically or something like that. Like I mean, some of those shots in Creed are fantastic and amazing. And I mean, Creed 3 is a great directorial debut, but it doesn't hit those highs. And it doesn't have like Sylvester Stallone, which is great, but I'd rather have a full movie that's like actually complete rather than a movie that like hits higher highs at a few points and then is like mildly mediocre at parts and just like doesn't know how to complete itself. So yeah, that's kind of like my basic opinions. I think both of them are good movies, like for parts of it. Like I do like Creed. I mean I kind of give it shit at points because it's shoddily written at parts. But I do like some of those scenes, and I think it's a fantastic movie at parts. And that's pretty much my spiel.
So you actually already helped my starting argument, which is that the best performance out of all three of the movies is Stallone in the first one, in my opinion.
Exactly.
He is the only actor in any of the three movies to get nominated for an Oscar.
Straight up.
And he probably should have won. He won the Golden Globe, and he was going to win the Oscar, but apparently he said some stuff that he shouldn't have. That's the theory, I guess.
I don't know.
So Stallone, best performance in any of the three movies. Jonathan Majors is pretty good, but Stallone, best performance in any of those movies. The first one, we have talked about how Michael B. Jordan, obviously his character arcs kind of suck, and they have problems, and they're very shallow. But because Creed is the first one in the franchise, it has the most time. It is the most blank check version of Michael B. Jordan's character. So that means like
true.
even with the little development to begin there is still some development to be had by just establishing the character to begin with.
Yeah.
So I feel like that has an advantage over Creed 3, in my opinion.
I think the opposite, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think it's just the thing of like, at the end of the day, do they actually develop the character? And Creed does not, in my opinion. By the end of the day, all the things he talks about at the beginning, he only probably solves half of them.
Okay.
And it's like, then why bring it up in the first place? Why is this such an internal struggle if you can't write the finale of it? And unless if you're going to tease it through the rest of the series, which you don't, you kind of just drop all your internal struggles the moment like a new plot development happens. And it's like, but what about this? I don't know.
I would counter by saying there's relationship stuff with him and Stallone.
Oh yeah.
In the first one that can count as character development, as a character learning, and his relationship with Stallone, I think, is what kind of, to me, aids in that what maybe lacks in the individual character growth of Creed.
I think it's just the fact that like it's less like him learning things, it's him like finishing out his arc. It's that movie doesn't do it. And I think that's the thing that bugs me the most is like no matter how much he talks to Rocky or like they have moments of him contemplating, it doesn't go anywhere. At the end of the day, with the themes you're going for, half of them don't pay off. And it's just like, at least you're finishing out your ideas in Creed 3. And like, I think, in my opinion, I'd say he actually starts more of a blank check in Creed 3. Because, I mean, at least like they resolve his ideas in Creed 2. He's a dude doing his thing in Creed 3. The movie kind of starts. And it's like, at least he's not kind of holding on to these ideas that he was, or like something like that. And like, I mean, I feel like it's the most self-contained. It's great.
So what would you say to the argument that in Creed 3, he's already made it to the top?
Yeah.
So there really isn't a lot of character development to begin with in that regard. Most of that the issues within his character come from his brother, obviously, right? Jonathan Majors' character.
Yeah.
So where would you say development is in Creed 3 with that?
I think Creed 3 is like the equivalent of Rocky 3, where it's like he's made it to the top, and then he just kind of has this person that comes in and messes it all up, and that's where kind of it all stems from in that respect. I'm not like drawing the line of like Rocky 3 is Creed 3, but like it's kind of like the same starting point for both of those characters, where it's like he's the top, he's already made it, like his life is pretty good, but like he's gone through all these like things like through his life that like establish him as this character that like I feel like it's like I think this is also what I kind of think about like Rocky 3 is like this is where you get a fresh start for the series, and it's less about the ideas of the first two, and it's more about where the series is going next. And I mean, you get this kind of fresh start where it's like he's less of a new person, and he's established, but also he's new. It's a mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think again, I've already so there's that. Why I think so again, I'll just rephrase what I was saying earlier, which was that summarize, which is I think because Creed the character is starting from a more beginning point than in Creed 3, you get enough that in conjunction with his relationship with Stallone.
Yeah.
There's enough development in there where I do agree it doesn't complete itself in the first movie, but there is more growth and more interesting growth within that than in Creed 3. But I do get your point, and I do understand that.
I get you.
The last thing I will say is, you also helped me make this argument, was the technical stuff in the first Creed is exceptional.
That's fantastic.
Creed 3 also has some good technical stuff, but I would argue if you had to pin them up against each other, I would go Creed
over Creed 3 in terms of technical.
Because it specifically, and the one thing that I would say puts it over the top, if we had to narrow it down to one thing, is the one shot one of the first boxing matches he has in that entire
it's
movie.
Halfway through the movie. That scene's fantastic. I mean, that's one of the best one shots I've probably ever seen.
Yep.
And it's such a fantastic just sequence of just it shows off how good choreography is, how good
Ryan Coogler is.
Yes, the direction, the cinematography, just everything about the craft of that scene is so cool.
And that is the last thing I will say, is I think the direction in Creed is better than Creed 3.
Oh yeah.
You have and that helps when you have a senior director like Ryan Coogler.
You have a senior director versus a newbie, which I mean, fair. And so, I guess at the end of the day, Ryan Coogler is going to know how to make movies more, because I think it's his second big movie.
Okay, because this was before Black Panther.
It's before Black Panther, but after Fruitvale Station.
Yes, which is his. Is that his first movie ever, or his first big movie? I think it's his
first movie. Maybe.
Oh, wow.
First full movie.
Wow.
I think maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
But you go ahead if you were going to say something else, TJ.
Another thing I like about Creed 3 over Creed, the villain's actually interesting. I don't find
that's fair.
I don't find anything about the villain of Creed interesting. But I think the thing is they try to revamp Rocky, where it's this guy's I'll give this newbie a shot, but the guy who's I think he's Scottish or Irish or he's English or something like that.
Yeah, he's
not nearly as interesting as Carl Weathers. So it's
I'd agree.
What? I zone out every time you're on screen. I could not care less about a single word you're saying. Where it's at least Jonathan Majors carries a weight to him, and it's you're actually interesting to watch feud with Michael B. Jordan, because you're an actual character. I'll give you that. Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, for me, it's Creed 3, I think, is a more holistic movie, and it's a great directorial debut, but Creed 1 has higher highs in the sense that some of those technical moments, fantastic. Stallone, fantastic. But I think it's just writing wise, I think it's a little all over the place.
And before I make this point, and I think we can review maybe our argument a little and then move on.
Yeah.
Is I have Creed 2, Creed 3, and Creed all at 3 stars, actually. So I think and for me, 3 stars means they're a good movie. Yeah. I actually think that. I think taking away those 2 stars, again, I'm using this to help structure my thoughts on these films.
Yeah.
By taking away those 2 stars, you can say a lot of negative things within those 2 stars.
Oh, absolutely.
And so for me, that's where they sit. So when I'm making this argument, I think it's the difference is not very big.
Oh, have we been saying our stars with the movies?
No, we haven't. But I thought it was relevant for this.
Oh.
Do you want to? You can tell yours, TJ, if you'd like.
Do you want to just speed through the last few?
Oh, when we move on to the other ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Do you want to catch up with Rocky 5 and those ones?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I actually don't know what I have some of these at.
And then I do want to recap our argument real quickly, and then we can move on. So for Rocky 5, I have it at 2 stars.
Same.
Rocky Balboa, I have it 2.5.
Same.
And then I mentioned the 3 Creed movies for me.
For me, I have Creed 2 at 2.5. I have Creed at a 3, and then I have Creed 3 at a 3.5.
Okay.
I put it above because I was I actually really enjoyed this movie, and so I think I'd say Creed is a pretty high 3 in my opinion, and so I think being more an actually complete movie in my opinion gives it the edge. Plus I enjoy it just so much more. I thought it was a movie that I legitimately really sat down. I was engrossed. So I gave it kind of that enjoyment push. But I was probably going to give it a 3.5, probably to begin with.
Okay. my last counter to what you were saying earlier
Oh, go
is,
for it.
so you mentioned obviously the villain not being very interesting,
No, he's
which is
painfully
true.
boring.
I agree. Fortunately, and this is a big backbone that I feel like supports my argument, which is that fortunately you have other focal points in the movie that can make it interesting and make it a good movie.
Oh, true.
For
But-
example,
yeah.
and I keep relying on this because this is by far to me the most interesting relationship in any of the 3 movies is Stallone and Creed, and
Well, yeah.
and their development together. And I think even the movie itself recognizes how important that is and how much almost that becomes the
Yeah.
number one thing in the movie. It doesn't. I mean, it actually. I will say that I think it is actually the focal point in the movie in many ways
it is.
because even Coogler I think recognizes that because though he pushes
That more
that
than everything else.
relationship, he gives it the most time. And then also he has that relationship going almost to the that whole arc that the two share, the relationship arc that those two share.
Yeah.
That almost extends through to the very, very end. It isn't some sort of 2/3 of the way through. Okay, now we're gonna get into the fight. It keeps going. It moves and moves and moves to almost the very end of the movie.
Oh, it does.
Which I will agree with you creates that sort of weird like afterthought effect that the fight has. And
Yeah.
so fair enough.
Well, but I think my thing about it is Rocky does the same thing. The first Rocky does exactly the same thing. Carl Weathers is in none of that movie for a lot of it. He's only in probably 2 scenes of the first like hour and 45 of that movie because it's mostly about Rocky and him falling in love and like
His journey.
his relationship with his trainer, and like that is exactly it. But at the same time, Carl Weathers was an interesting character, or his performance was still interesting, even in his small time. So I think it's just like I get exactly what you're going for because that's pretty much what Creed wants to do, but Creed doesn't do that. It's still it wants to be this thing it kind of mirrors the original Rocky in the sense that it doesn't really focus on its villain. But like the villain in Rocky's interesting even when you don't show him. The villain in Creed isn't. He's
but I'm not arguing it for it over
like,
Rocky though.
But but I'm just saying like it's the thing about that one is like it wants to do so much things that Rocky does, but it doesn't. And it's
No, I don't disagree.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I get exactly what you're going for. It's less about the villain. But the villain in his scenes is not interesting.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
Yeah. It's less about him, but like you still need to make your villain interesting to make at least your finale moderately interesting.
That's true.
The movie does not do that.
That's true. I wouldn't go that far. I think it's
Well, I mean,
it's
like,
okay. I think it's okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't mean like it's bad, but like I think like I care less. It's the finale I care the least about.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Because Creed 2, you have already the fact that it's the rematch of it's the sons going against each other. So inherently, that's immediately going to be better.
Yeah.
No matter what we said earlier about it, and then obviously Creed 3, it's brothers going up against each other. So I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not trying to argue against the first Rocky. I want to be clear. I wasn't doing that to begin with. But
Well, I brought that up. So
yeah.
I was painting that like parallel where it's like
Right.
it wants to do the same thing in that respect, but and be less about the villain, but you can't make it interesting if your villain isn't interesting. Like and you can't make that.
I don't know. I still think Creed. I keep bringing this up, but I think Creed is an interesting movie because you do have the relate.
That's not. I meant I said that wrong. I meant you can't make. I'm so all over the place right now. My brain is so boggled about just this movie. It wants to. I've already said this, but yeah, I just it doesn't paint this like interesting villain in the background that like eventually like you're gonna like root for Creed to overcome because like you already know he's gonna win. You know it's.
You could say that about the other ones too. I mean,
Well,
it's
yeah,
Creed movies.
Yeah,
You could say that with all actually. You
Yeah.
could say that with pretty much all
any
the
sports
Rocky
movie.
movies for the most part. I mean,
Yeah,
it is. That's what makes I think that's part of what makes the first one so great is he does not win.
that is true. Yeah, I don't know. I think Creed is a very flawed movie, and I think a lot of people will overlook a lot of its flaws just because it's like it's good, and I'm like, no, it isn't. In a lot of ways, I think there's a lot of it where I'm like, this isn't that great.
Okay.
You guys are just like trying to go hard on Michael B. Jordan.
The last thing I will say is what at least makes the endings manageable is great direction by Coogler
Yeah.
and great technical stuff
Yeah.
to end for the boxing fight sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the villain kind of sucks, but like at least like from a technical perspective and a directing perspective,
Oh yeah.
I always feel like I'm in safe hands.
Yeah.
Even when the villain is flawed extremely. I mean, it's boring. But so I guess my final thoughts would be directing is better.
It is.
Technical stuff is better.
It is.
The best acting performance in the 3 movies is Stallone.
It is.
And that's what I have going for Creed. And then
Yeah. I completely agree on that.
you made great points with Creed 3, and like I said, I have them at all 3 stars. So I don't think there's that much of a difference, and I think each 3 movies, specifically Creed and Creed 3, succeed at other things better than the other movies do, and they all succeed at different things.
Yeah.
And that ultimately equates them for me to be basically the same.
Yeah.
But like I said, I get your point. I get why you think Creed 3 is better.
Yeah. I think it's a marginally better movie.
Yeah. But there we go. So there's our conversation, our lengthy little friendly argument there on the 3 Creed movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to make any more. He hasn't announced
I think
or
they
anything.
have.
They are going to make some more.
They've said that they're going to start making more Creed movies.
I know they're going to make a TV show. I didn't know movies, but
I know. Well, I think they're making like an animated series, and they're making like a series on
it's not a direct sequel. It's going to be some other thing, I think, right?
What I think I was going to say, they have like 2 spin-off ones about like 2 of the characters in Creed, and I think like they've said that like it's good like in pre-production is like Creed 4, where it's like we're throwing ideas around, we're essentially saying it's going to happen, but eventually, who knows?
All right, now we get into the meat and potatoes. This is just this is
the good part of this series.
This is just heaven. These are as good as it gets when it comes to Rocky movies. This is these 4 movies are everything you want in a Rocky movie.
Exactly. I mean, it's the Rocky series.
Yes. Which there also is going to be some disagreement between us, I'm pretty certain, but yeah. Okay. We won't take nearly as long as the Creeds. We don't have to.
No, I feel more strongly about the Creeds than I do the Rockies in terms of like actually debating them.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Rocky 4.
Mine's number 2. Let's just do no, because we don't want to do all of them because there's a lot to talk about there. Let's do what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Rocky 3.
Okay, mine's Rocky 4. Wait.
Okay.
So wait, hold on. Let me figure that out. Wait, what was your 4th one?
My 4 is 4. It's 4.
4 is
3,
4.
3. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just do it by.
Do you want to talk about all the movies and then rank them?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do that. It's gonna be a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. So do you just want to go 4-1 as far as like the movies? So like go the 4th, or how do you want to? What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, movie 4, and then rank them, and then why we rank them.
Okay. I mean, there's so much that has already been said about the first Rocky movie.
Rocky 1 is awesome. I love that movie.
It is genuinely awesome. We referenced it actually with the Iron Claw conversation last episode in the sense that it's doing something very different that not a lot of movies in its genre do, which it's a lot slower. There is actually, they give lots of breathing room for the character to develop, so that Rocky 2 develop, and get into his sort of ideologies and his psyche and his makeup in ways that are strange when you put it in conjunction with, in relation to the 3 movies that come after it, especially 3 and 4, which are more adrenaline, sort of junky, intense, testosterone-y fighting movies. You have been a big advocate, I know, for the first one.
I love Rocky 1. I think it's a fantastic movie.
For all the things I've said and more.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like Rocky 1 is equal parts a boxing movie and almost just as much not a boxing movie, because yes, it has boxing here and there, and I think that there's only like 2 boxing scenes really maybe 3 in the movie. Like it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And it's mostly a movie just about a dude, and I think that's like
who's trying to survive.
Yeah, he's a poor dude in Philadelphia, and like who's like loved by the like community, and like I think that's like where the movie succeeds. Is like at the end of the day, it's just a movie about like this dude who gets this cool shot, and I think like Stallone is great in it. I think the writing of it's really good. Carl Weathers is a great villain. And it's just like I mean, it truly like epitomizes like that late 70s just like drama energy that's just like so infectious and so good.
Yeah. I don't disagree with what you said. It stands out no matter how many more Creed, Rocky movies they make. It will stand out not just because it is the first one, but because of all the things that's different about it compared to all the movies that come after. It also shows off, Stallone isn't known for being a great actor.
Exactly.
But the first one and the first Creed movie show why he is a genuinely when he wants to, when he is given the right, first of all, when he's given the right script, when he's given the right character, he can put in a genuinely good performance to the point where he gets Oscar nominated, and again, according to a lot of people, should have won the Oscar.
Yeah. Did he get nominated for the first Rocky? I think he did.
Did he? Maybe he did.
He probably did.
I know he got nominated because he wrote it, right? I think he got nominated for writing, and it obviously won Best Picture. The first one did, which is kind of one thing that a lot of people forget. So the first one won Best Picture.
Yeah,
it was the number 1 movie that year according to the Academy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, which I don't have any gripes with. I can understand why.
I don't know what else came out that year, but I mean, shit, that movie's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Now I'm interested.
Of course, you're going to come up with the list and we're going to say, oh, wait a second, that movie's probably better, but who knows?
76. So,
while you're looking that up, I will move us on to Rocky 2, which is a great... A Rocky and Rocky 2 watch party is awesome because those 2 movies together, if you think of them as sort of one movie, one storyline, it's a really cool pairing. Yeah. Because the halfway point in that viewing experience is Rocky losing, which is adding to like separating it from other movies in the genre is a nice touch by not having him win that, doing all that excruciating effort and pain and to be better, to train, and seeing what he goes through both psychologically, at the last second lose it is devastating and fits nicely. Yeah. And so that being the halfway point then, if you consider it with both of them in the viewing, and then seeing how he as a character reacts to that defeat, and then given where he was down in the dumps in Philadelphia at the start of the first Rocky movie, to his mindset then going at the start of Rocky 2 to by the end of it, it flows very nicely. Yeah. The first 2, and you can even say, I would say the third one too, they all flow very nicely. Oh, especially those first 2, but I would even include the third one in there. Yeah, I would. And so that flow and that the way you see the character react to things, the way you see the character react to the events of the first one is interesting and makes it a very good movie.
Yeah, I love Rocky 2. For being Stallone's, I don't think it's his first. Maybe it's the first movie he directed.
He did direct this one.
Yeah, it's the first one he directed in the series, but I don't know if it's the first movie he directed in general.
Okay.
It's a great follow up to the first one. It very much like nails the tone of the first one like a lot more than like I think a lot of the sequels do. And I think like it is just kind of like it's a continuation. It very much is like I'd say it's the most direct sequel out of like the ones where it's like,
definitely.
And I think like it's a very different I don't know where it's going with that. I think it's just like it's there's a lot of like great like continuations of ideas, and like where the first one wraps up with a bunch of like good ideas, like the second one like reopens them and is like, here's how we go, how about we do this, and now that he's like more famous and he's like doing the rematch, and you get some great stuff with like Adrian and like that kind of relationship kind of blossoming some more, and it's great. I love it. It's a good movie.
It is. It is the last movie where it's not fully aware of what it is.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing in many ways.
Yes. I think one sequel like that is very much needed.
Yeah.
Because starting with 3, it's like it becomes a lot more pulpy in some ways, and like for better and for worse eventually down the road.
Yeah. And we really see that with Rocky IV, where although that is a good movie, both Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 have become aware of what the franchise is and how popular it is and how popular the Rocky character is. And so then you have all of these other elements, merchandising, all these other actors and singers and pop culturally relevant people want to get involved with these movies.
Yeah.
And
Mr. T.
It like you brought up, like you just said, it works at points and then also doesn't.
Exactly.
And I think Rocky 3 just escapes how bad it truly can be, and we see some of how bad it truly can get at points in Rocky 4.
Exactly.
Rocky 3 to me is the last one, as I said earlier, that has actual flow to it. There is clear flow and direction with the Rocky character. I think now's a good time to bring up Carl Weathers, because this is the most screen time he gets
in
in
any
any
most involved movie, and he does it so well. It's the movie without, if it was just another guy that came out of nowhere to train Rocky, the movie would not work at all. No. In many ways, the last half of that movie would not work like it does. Straight
because bringing Apollo Creed, like adding on to his mythology as a character, and then is that plus knowing as a viewers, knowing who Apollo Creed is and the gravity that character has for him to come in and say, Rocky, I'm going to train you. First of all, from a nerd out perspective, you're like, this is an Avengers level stuff going on right here. This is like two titans that are teaming up to get Rocky back to the top. It's just so you nerd out. And then also the other thing I said, which is just it's a good pairing and a good actor you're bringing back in to
you're giving
in a good
time.
Role to flush out his character a little more and give us an idea on who Apollo is.
Like the enemies to friends relationship is just it's really fleshed out, and it's fun to see in this movie. And like I don't know, it's just the movie's such a vibe. Like Rocky 3. It's such a fun movie. It's like where it starts to become a little more of like a blockbustery series, and like you can feel that just like the way it moves, and like it's a lot shorter, so it's a lot more punchy, and like it's just like its runtime and stuff like that. So like you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it has a great balance between being a blockbuster and having more testosterone. With the character development that we love from the first two. Like there's still those elements of that with Apollo Creed and specifically Rocky. There are still those elements, but there is a lot more adrenaline and 80s intensity than the first two.
Yeah, because I think it's the first one of the 80s. So, or does Rocky 2 come out in the 80s?
Oh no, it doesn't. You're right. Rocky 2 is 79. So just cut short a little.
Yeah, so it's like when the first, I think it's like the way that time period was like where you start to see like a new decade shit like truly shift into itself, and it's like we're just gonna be fun while also kind of like having that vibe of the originals. Yeah.
Some of the best quotes in the Rocky franchise is in the third one. The very iconic one is one of them is "There is no tomorrow" by Apollo Creed. There is no tomorrow. Yeah. There is no tomorrow, dude. My favorite montage training montage is in the third one. It's Rocky and Apollo training together in the third one. It is so good. And also, you know what the third one benefits from? A change of scenery.
It does.
Going to LA was a smart move. It changed scenery, made things more interesting. We learned more about who is Apollo Creed, where did he grow up? How did he become the boxer that he was? What training did he do? We see that because he puts Rocky through that.
Yeah. I mean, having 2 still set in Philadelphia is like a great move as like a sequel and like especially kind of keeping that vibe. But yeah, like as soon as like you move into like a different energy and like a different a new decade and like it's definitely like Rocky 3 is a fun way to kind of infuse that like fun beachy kind of vibe that like a lot of movies in the 80s would eventually use a lot more.
For sure. TJ, what are your thoughts on Rocky 4?
Rocky 4 is a fun movie.
Okay.
I definitely think I said it's my number 4. Out of the top original 4, it's probably the worst as a movie, because a lot of it is just training montages and it's not like the best movie in that respect.
And bands trying to get their voice in a Rocky movie.
Straight up. But it's a very fun movie. It's got some great scenes and some great fights. You got one of the best. You got arguably the best villain of the originals with Drago.
I would say he is the best villain because I don't treat Apollo Creed as a villain.
True.
I don't treat him as a straight villain. He did have villain qualities, and at one point you could call him a villain.
He's a villain depending on how you look at it in the movie.
Yeah.
I used villain earlier. I don't see Apollo as a villain. He's kind of just a dude who's like, I have to fight someone.
Yeah.
But like, I think in the eyes of like, who's the bad guy of the movie, it's Apollo, because like he's got a top Apollo.
But you actually, and I don't want to pop out of our Rocky 4 conversation, but that's actually a good point, TJ, is even when Apollo Creed is the quote-unquote antagonist, he doesn't have the antagonistic qualities that you would for a character like that in a sports movie like that. You know what I mean? And you framed it well, where it was, yes, he is the opponent of Rocky,
and that's kind of how you're supposed to see him, as like he's the villain. Like you watch like those early scenes in the movie, he's like, well, shit, I'm not fighting the person I was going to fight. Who can I find in Philadelphia? And that's kind of just like his mentality through the beginning of the movie. And then like even at the end of the movie, like he's not really like mean to Rocky. He's kind of just like, he just does like his basic like boasting, and it's like
he's not Mr. T or Drago.
Yeah, and then like in 2, like he's mad and he's angry, but like he's not like vengeful or something like that towards Rocky. He's just a dude.
Which makes the transition to 3 make sense.
It does. Yeah, because they're not like, they don't hate each other's guts or anything like that. They're just
being weird.
It's just dudes mad chilling. But yeah, Rocky 4.
Yes, back to Rocky 4.
Rocky 4. Yeah, the movie jumps the shark in some ways, but it's still a fun movie.
It's a movie that you should look at it from individual set pieces, individual sequences.
Exactly.
If you look at it purely from that perspective, it is some of the best in the entire franchise.
Exactly. It's a great movie.
Specifically, my favorite fight is I don't like the outcome. It's sad, but I won't say what exactly, but I guess people can infer, and whatever. But Anyway,
Yeah.
this is we said before. You know,
The
spoilers.
Creed and Drago fight.
The Creed and Drago fight. There's. I love, and this happens in a lot of movies. I love when you have two characters that both have different mindsets and both think that something entirely different is going on.
Yeah.
Because you have Apollo, who's, this is an exhibition fight. We're here to have fun. We're here to show off.
Yeah.
I'd probably kick this dude's ass anyway. And then you have Drago, this Russian who's been
conditioned.
He's been conditioned. He's been hated on by Americans. He's getting all these different phrases and slurs and things thrown at him.
Yeah.
He's all business and
all business.
And that makes for a very, as a viewer, you realize there's an uneasiness that comes upon you, and that makes for a very intense viewing of that fight.
Yeah. It's like coming out like a tail end of the Cold War. 85. I just looked it up, and it very much has that like American v Russia vibe of like the 80s and like
Well, and I mean, if we want to
movies of that,
if we want to read it as that, I mean, think about the end where Rocky has that very what am I looking for here? That very purposeful and speech at the end where he's like, "Hey, we can all come together and we can all live as one, or we can all have harmony." And he's talking about Russia and America. We know what this is about, obviously.
Yeah.
And so if we want to read it as that, which it is, what part of the movie is that?
Yeah. Part of it is definitely is like very Cold War-ish, it's very much cemented in the 80s kind of. I mean like the third one is like it's 80s, but like not as much as this movie. This movie's like pure 80s.
Yes.
Just in tone and vibe, like everything about it like just screams 80s.
I don't know if there's that. I actually wouldn't say there's necessarily a big difference, but I
mean like a lot of like the music and like
you do have Eye of the Tiger in the third one, just saying.
I mean, yeah, but I was saying like I was saying like in terms of like I mean, for me like I look like movie decades like at the first few years of them, you still see like a lot of the influence of like the early decades, and I think Rocky 3 has like that a little bit, and like I mean like I feel like where Rocky 4 gets into it, it's like you're into the 80s, it's 80s mayhem. It's like
true.
It's a lot more 80s than Rocky 3 is. Like yes, it has Eye of the Tiger, but like dude, Rocky 4's like soundtrack is just like pure 80s rock. It's 80s montages. It's like everything that like a lot of these movies like start to see in the 80s like is like epitomized in that movie. It's like Scarface in that way, where it's like design wise and like a lot of that, it's like everything about it is just so ingrained in like the vibes and the like I mean like even like the problems of it, like very 80s. Like
that's true. You make a good point. I guess when you have 5 different sports montages
within the span of 20 minutes.
Within the span of 20 minutes with 5 different relatively iconic 80s music groups, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's important that I bring that up, though, because that is also one of the flaws of the movie, which is the fact that there's a montage every 5 minutes to the point where you question whether you are actually watching a coherent singular movie.
Yeah, that you hit a point where it's like, yeah, it is just that, and you're like, what the hell is this movie?
Which is why like I said, to open our conversation, it really is best to think about it in individual. Yeah. Thinking about it, looking forward and thinking about it in individual sequences.
Yeah. The montages are objectively cool, but like, I mean, once you see 6 of them, you're like, okay, I get it.
Like we were talking about favorite training montages. I would actually, a close second is actually the training montage at the end of the 4th one where he's in the snow and that's just awesome. He's using all these random, cottage sort of farming equipment to train.
Yeah.
And then it ends with him, I believe it ends with him at the top of the mountain, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
running from the car, then climbing the mountain.
Which already questions, like, how exactly did you get that high up in that short a time is one. But, it's Rocky 4. Whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes it just jumps logic, and you're like, okay.
Maybe Rocky had a teleportation device that we didn't know about.
Well, I mean, he has the robot, or he bought Polly the robot.
You think Polly has teleportation ability?
Polly's robot teleported him to the top of the thing. It was like
right.
It's like Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about that when I rewatched that movie, and I was like, the robot, that part's weird.
Oh yeah.
I get the rich, but like that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another franchise that we need to rank or do have a conversation about.
Star Trek?
Yeah.
We do. I need to rewatch a lot of them. I keep staring at it.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Trek, the best Star Trek movie.
Yeah. You have a few of them, so
yeah,
I'm down to watch them sometime.
Yeah. I think about the fourth one quite a lot. Because it's one of the childhood movies, and it's the funniest of all of them.
It is. It is. Yeah. Those early Star Trek movies are great.
Oh my
First
gosh.
one, but I mean, like 2 through like 4 are great.
2 through 4, and then again and then 6. I would say 6 as well.
Yeah.
So Undiscovered Country's bona fide good movie.
Yeah, it doesn't like bank on like the fun vibes of the first few. Like 2.
Well, would you consider not
2 through 4
fun?
Well, but I mean like, or not fun, but like.
What do you mean?
Where was I going with that statement?
No, I mean like I'm not trying to roast you,
well,
TJ, but I just think it was like the thought that I had where I'm like, wait a second.
I was like, there's an inherently more enjoyable quality about them because they're so much easier to watch. That's what I meant to say, not
there
fun.
You go. That's true. Yeah, true.
They're easy to digest, where 6 is like it's a little heavier because it's a lot more like dialogue heavy.
Yes.
That's
and you have like actually
that's kind of where I meant to go with that. Not fun. There
you go. You got it. No, you got it.
My mind does that where I'm like,
no,
fill in the blank. Fun.
You gave me some entertainment, TJ. I will say that.
Yeah.
Actually, say the 6th one again. We're talking about Rocky movies now. We're talking about Star Trek.
It's a side tangent.
We do this. Is honestly, the 6th one is darker than a lot of people remember. Like there is actually some like, I mean, we're literally dealing with murder and like.
Yeah.
All that different political stuff that's going on.
Yeah. A lot of it is just like inherently more talky and like it's darker. It's like it's just a very different vibe than like I mean like Wrath of Khan's like dark, but like it's still very watchable and like yeah, it's dark, but like it's not like crazy dark where I mean like I feel like Undiscovered Country is like it talks a lot. It's like it's more of like it almost has like a political thriller vibe to parts of it.
Definitely.
Where like Wrath of Khan's like it's still a blockbuster. I'm not gonna say fun, but it's an enjoyable time to just sit down and watch.
Yeah.
Even though it gets to dark points.
You know what's kind of interesting, and it is actually relevant in conjunction with our Rocky conversation, is usually when you have movies that are that late in a franchise, they kind of get crappy.
Yeah.
And
totally.
I mean, the 5th one, the 5th Star Trek movie shows that, but the 6th one is a genuinely good movie, and it counters that typical progression, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Star Trek has this like weird ping pong effect with like quality of sequels, where it's like the first one's great or not great, then the second one's great, and then like you get like a period of great ones, and you have a total dud, and then you have a great one, and then you have like this weird like you have Generations, and then you have First Contact, which is great. And then it goes back downhill. It's like it ping pongs so all over the board in terms of people's reputation of them, and it's just like, what the hell is happening? Where's the consistency here?
Right.
There's only like one consistent period in that franchise.
Definitely. Is there anything else we want to talk about with Rocky IV? I'm trying to think.
No, nothing I can think of.
Yeah, not really. We mentioned the robot briefly, and that's just weird. That's very much, we're talking about product of the 80s. That's such an 80s thing.
But yeah, that's kind of like, that was, whenever I think of like the Rocky franchise jumping the shark, like that term, it's the robot. It really is.
It is.
And I think that's like part of the reason why like 5 wanted to go back to basics and be like, listen, we went a little over the top. We're going to try something new.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that, fair, but it didn't work.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
All right, let's rank these 4. So, we'll just each do our 4 through 1. Yeah. We won't go back and forth. Go ahead, TJ. You can go first.
4, 3, 2, 1.
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is going from 4 to 1 is 2, 4, 1, 3.
Yeah.
And again, we already had a lengthy debate before, so I guess my few comments about why I put 3 over 1, I'll just say that.
Yeah, go for it.
Is I think it strikes a balance between the character development and the importance of character that we see in the first two with the high intensity of the 80s and of the I keep using the testosterone as a word, but like the testosterone junkie adrenaline,
because I mean that's kind of what it is.
It is
by like that montage point, you're getting into the high manly man vibes of the 80s.
They're all oiled up and everything. So I think it strikes a balance, the best balance between those two, and that is why I put Rocky 3 over Rocky. And then my last commentation before I flip it to you, if you have any comments, is all like the Creed movies, I have the same rating for actually all 3 because I think certain movies do certain things better.
Yeah.
And they're all 3.5 for me.
I actually don't. I wonder what I have them at.
And while you look that up, go ahead.
I think for me, I might have them all at the same too.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, because I think the thing is, and I think we should discuss this, TJ, just briefly. But again, I don't want to take away from what you were going to say. Is just that I specifically want to defend Rocky 4 in the sense that the reason for me it gets that 3.5 and matches the 3.5 of the other 3 is that, again, those individual sequences are so good.
Yeah.
And like they're just like, it propels the movie. Like, even though there are sections that are like truly like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
They're so good.
Yeah.
So iconic with iconic characters that it's hard to discredit that movie to a lower than the other 3.
Well, I mean, that movie is just so iconic and like it's so fun. There's nothing wrong with just like being like, man, it's not great, but I'm having a great time watching this, and like be like, I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a push just because. And I think Rocky 4 is like the epitome of that, where it's like, yes, it in terms of like quality doesn't line up with the first few.
No.
But at the end of the day, it has some great ass moments. It's just a fun watch that you're just gonna be like, you're gonna sit there and you're like, this is it. This is why, I mean, movies are fun.
Mm-hmm. You know, it'd be kind of fun. We can do this later on down the road, whatever. Is we could it'd be fun doing a tier list of all the different fights, like ranking them, like in a tier list. That'd be cool, actually.
That would.
Yeah, because you have some S tier level fights in both fights. I think are S tier in
Rocky
4. Yeah.
That shit's awesome.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts or comments, TJ, on your own top 4? Why you ranked them the way you did?
I'm just gonna kind of like blitz through it.
Yeah.
4 is at the bottom, or at the bottom of the 4 because like, like it just said, it's not the best, but like it's fun. 3, I think 3 is a damn fun movie. It's got some great moments, but I think personally for me, I love the vibes of the first 2. Like the very much just like, it's a drama movie. That's just about a guy just doing his thing, and it's. I think that's like very much like everything about like the first one. I love it. And then like 3 is just like it's a nice mashup of like fun vibes but just, I probably would have it higher, probably on rewatch, but it's been a while since I've seen it. And then 2 is a great follow up. I love it.
Yeah,
but nothing beats Rocky 1. That shit's awesome.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are our rankings of the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
We hope you like our rankings and enjoy them and find them interesting.
Yeah.
I think the only comments I have is next episode. What do we say we want to do next episode?
Just chilling.
That's right. We're just going to chill and talk, possibly with a guest. John might show up.
Maybe Juanita.
I have some rants that I got to get off, guys. Do
you want to tease any of them?
Okay, well, one is a music rant.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try and open this thing, but
you're not going to open this can of worms yet.
I don't want to open it, but I'm just saying, people, if people say that they have a favorite artist and they've only listened to 3 songs from them, it's fine. Chill out.
Yeah.
Chill. It's okay.
Name 5 songs.
Yeah. It's okay. Chill out. They don't have to listen to more than 10 songs to know an artist. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's just a tease, but...
Any movie ones?
Oh, movie rants or conversations?
Yeah. Do you have any like
That I need to
basic
get-
ones for that?
Yeah. Well, I've brought this up before. One that's passionate of mine is people just totally wailing on Hayden Christensen. We already brought this up, but like,
We love Hayden.
yeah,
He's a
it's like
gem.
you do realize directors also are involved in how an actor acts a lot of times,
Yeah.
and like helping them, especially young actors. That they're a big piece into that.
Yeah.
So I think that's one that comes up every once in a while. I don't know. Do you, TJ? Is there anything that you need to get off your chest in the next episode?
No, not really.
Yeah, you're just kind of vibing. You just react to my fiery
Your hot takes.
opinions.
I'm just
Yes. Yeah.
kidding. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything like lined up. Maybe I'll think of something and be
Yeah.
like,
And that's the joy of the episode, right? Is we're just,
stop messing shit up over there.
hey, you know what? That's the joy of the episode is we're just gonna vibe and
Yeah.
see what comes up.
Yeah.
The
that's kinda
last
how it goes.
episode, last episode you randomly went on a George Lucas rant when we did our.
Was it that long ago?
Well, I mean, there's bits and pieces of some episodes where we were doing just random stuff, but like,
Oh yeah, but I mean, like a truly random episode was when I went off on George Lucas.
yeah, remember that?
It's like 2 years ago.
I know. We need to do more of them. So
Jesus.
yeah.
George Lucas, release the original cuts. We know you have them. Give them to Disney already.
This is the benefit of having individual cameras because TJ can stare right down the barrel of the camera
Yeah.
and just
I can-
go in on George Lucas, even though there's a 99% chance he's not listening. But you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe one of his people are, even though that's like a 95% chance that's not happening, even greater. But still, it's a platform. It's a thing that you can use.
What's that movie where a bunch of people go to like Skywalker Ranch to get like an early copy of Phantom Menace?
It's a movie?
It's a comedy movie.
I don't know. I've never heard of
God.
it.
I can't remember what that's called. I might have to look this up after.
The only question I have, the last question I have about the Rocky movies is, did Rocky ever say this in the Rocky movies?
Troopers, the war is canceled.
Cancelled. You can all go
We can
home.
all go home.
Did he say that at any point?
No.
Okay, I thought he said it maybe in the fourth one, but I guess
Well,
not.
I think when he fought JCVD.
Oh, are you talking about the deleted scene?
Yeah. Well, that was the original idea for Rocky 5. Was he was gonna go MMA and he's gonna fight JCVD in the ring.
Oh, and that's why the actor for Tommy Gunn is so bad. They had to get him in at the last minute. That's why the storyline was so bad.
Who is the actor for Tommy Gunn?
Is the storyline is so bad and the acting and the actor isn't the greatest is because they had to do that at the last second. That makes so much sense.
Oh yeah, I forgot his like name for like boxing is Machine, so it's Machine Gun. That's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, he was an actual boxer.
That would make sense why his acting performance was not
Like,
ideal, to say the
yeah.
least.
Interesting. He's apparently in They Live. Tommy Morrison. Let's see. It doesn't look like he has a big role in it, but
Honestly, after seeing his performance in Rocky 5, I was just like, brother, this guy stinks.
won 48 out of 52 fights. That's a good record.
Dang.
And it looks like he was kind of like Shaq, where he was like an athlete with that tested positive for HIV/AIDS at that time.
Oh.
And, like, really
Wait,
pushed
you mean
that.
not Shaq? You mean
Uh,
Magic Johnson?
Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jeez, TJ, what's it?
I'm sorry, Shaq. You don't have AIDS.
I just like the idea of you saying that suddenly spreads like this rumor.
Yeah,
that, like,
Shaq has AIDS.
Shaq has AIDS.
Oh my God.
We have so much power on this platform that we can
We
do.
do.
That.
I can spread all the rumors I want.
Well, get him out now. You might as well keep going.
Yeah, Shaq, we're coming for you. I'm just kidding. We love you, Shaq. You're a gem.
Shaq's amazing. I didn't realize okay, you know the line, I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with your game. Have you heard that line before?
I feel like I have.
Okay, I didn't know, like, it's sports fans use it a lot when they're talking about just like sports performances and things like that. But it
Yeah.
originated from Shaq.
Really?
Well, and people are using it in like when people like relationship game and things like that, and like Riz and stuff like that.
Ugh.
They're just like,
I hate the word Riz. I think it's so cringy.
I think it's cringy, but at the same time, it's like if you're not using it in a serious way, it's
I think anything is funnier like unironically, but like I think like when people like unironically use Riz, it makes me cringe beyond belief.
really.
I think it's worse than a lot of the words people have come up with in the last few years.
What other words?
But I think it's partly just because it spread so fast, and I was like, this isn't funny.
the thing is, I don't know if it's just me not being aware of it, but I caught on extremely late to Riz. I didn't even know Riz was a thing till it was already
I didn't
big
either.
for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah, I didn't know about it for like a week, and I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
That and there was one recently where it's been famous for like a month and a half. I had no idea what it meant. I found out like 2 days ago. I was like, that's it? You guys could just say the thing. It's probably 3 more syllables.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing on social media is because I'm such a boomer is when they do the little, TGIF or LOL or whatever, trying to decipher those.
I am so bad at that. What's worse is when people say them in person.
Okay, speaking of a good rant, oh my gosh.
I hate that.
That is so bad. It's so,
God, we sound like boomers.
I know.
We're only 20. We're only in our 20s.
Dude, that is literally the definition of cringe. I'm serious.
It really is.
Like, in the dictionary, they'll give a definition and they'll give examples.
Yeah.
That is an example. That should be an example in the Webster's dictionary. It's just that. People saying LOL out loud in dialogue.
What was the worst one is BRB. I'm like, dude, just say I'll be right back.
Or just go full Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's fine too. That's cool too.
Do you remember what the was Riz like the honorable meme word that they put into Webster's dictionary this last year? Because
I think
they do that where it's like every year they'll pick like one meme word and they'll put it in there. Like Goblin Mode made it like 2 years ago. Or last year. Yeah, Goblin Mode is in Webster's dictionary.
Yeah, hell.
I'm here for it in the sense that like it's a meme, but like at the same time it's like we're gonna look back in 200 years and Goblin Mode is gonna be in the dictionary.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
Well, my first exposure to adding words to the dictionary is when they added, what did they add? It was, funnier. Because funnier for the longest time was not a word. And that was like the whole thing with like boomers is telling their kids and like their grandkids, funnier is not a word. It's more funny. You can be more funny, not funnier.
Yeah.
And then that was added into the dictionary. Now that's been a while, but I remember always like in elementary school, like getting corrected for that. And then once that happened, everyone made fun of the teachers being like, no, it's a word now.
Yeah.
What word were you looking up?
The word gooder.
Like, is it a word?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not surprised. But I still hear people say that occasionally. I'm like, you are 25 years old. Stop using gooder.
Well, the thing is, as someone who, the comment that I made that I didn't know if I got on recording is, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. If I did, and I'm saying it again, I maybe just sound like a maniac, but for repeating myself. But right, that's the thing with the English language. If enough people say a word, it's going to make it. I don't care what it is. It could be Riz. If enough people are going to say Riz, I'm sorry, TJ. That's just how it is. That's historically.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Old English, Middle English to now.
It's how it works.
That's just how that works.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, TJ. Riz is going to haunt you in your dreams till you die, hopefully peacefully in your bed. But
yeah, no matter if it actually becomes a Webster's word, I will never use it.
Yeah. The thing that and I actually it pisses me off when I do it is when you ask someone like, how are you doing, good is not correct. You can't. That's not grammatically correct. Saying like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm well," is how you should be responding to that.
Yeah.
It's not the good is not grammatically correct. I mean,
It's well, I feel like that's like, I mean, that's that I don't mind that in the sense that like I feel like people do that all the time. So like, I get it's not grammatically correct, but like it's kind of like a modern response to it. It's like
no, it is, and that's why I was prefacing it by saying that a lot of people do it, and I get it, and
Yeah.
I do it even.
Yeah.
But as someone who is going to be an English teacher, it kind of pisses me off. But that's just because I'm going to be an English teacher. So
yeah, true.
yeah. So I obviously have a different perspective, but
Yeah, fair.
yeah.
Oh boy.
You need to go back to high school when I'm. Just go back to high school while I'm a teacher,
Phillips.
and I'll just. I was thinking about it. It'd be hilarious if I a student taught in one of my brother's classes, in my brother's English class.
I would love that.
I don't know how it works as far as if you choose or if they choose for you, but that would be absolutely hilarious if that happened. If I student taught in William's English class.
I think you should make a point to go to his high school specifically.
And just torture him.
Yes. It's the only way to do it. That's what I would do.
You know how this doesn't necessarily happen this aggressively in real life, but in movies or no, this does, you see this every once in a while, where if there's a student that's, being, a delinquent or whatever, or is just kind of like messing around, and the teacher will have them answer every question, even if they don't have their hand up. Just do that with William.
Such a gem. I love that. Yeah. I've
Nothing was better than. Sorry, Jay,
Oh, yeah.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
I forgot what.
Okay.
I just go for it.
Okay. No, there was nothing better than high school in-class drama between like a teacher and a student.
Oh my god, that
Like, it was
the best.
Looking back on it, it's stupid, but like,
Oh, it's absolutely the dumbest.
but in the moment, it was the most just hilarious,
always
interesting thing to watch go down.
oh yeah, just like especially when it's like the chillest teacher and it's like beefing it up with like it's just some random student and you're like, why is this a problem? You are a grown adult.
Or recognizing and then watching the progression of a teacher hating us on a particular student was the most hilarious thing, because there's the idea of like, teachers don't truly keep hating on a particular student, or they're supposed to be unbiased or whatever, but that's just every once in a while there'll be a teacher that'll come upon a particular student that just does not apply, and it is the most hilarious thing ever.
They're gonna be angry no matter what. The moment that kid enters the door, they're like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
That's hilarious.
Oh, high school.
Good memories. See, I always treat high school, there's those people that are just like, oh, high school was miserable, it was terrible, there was nothing good about it, college was the best. But for me, high school, it's like a lot of things, it's like a balance. Like there was a lot of good things, but there was also some things that are like, why did I say that, or that was kind of cringe, why did I do that? But it's a balance. There's both.
I mean, you can say that about any period in your life.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's no different. You kind of just vibe. You go. You go to economics class. You light up fireworks.
As one does.
Yeah.
As a student does.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a tease for what's to come.
Yeah. That was a very random rant at the end.
I know. Good rant though.
Yeah.
That's what's one of the top rules here on the Man Who Missed This podcast, ladies and gentlemen. There are no bad rants. Unless we're dealing with some illegal stuff, which honestly is still probably a good rant.
Yeah. Especially if he has Emerson.
True. That's half of his rants or something that involves something
True.
illegal.
That are conspiracy theories.
That are conspiracy theories, which is going to be an episode at some point.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
We were going to do one, but schedules kind of got messed up with Emerson, so we never ended up recording it. But
Boo.
that's definitely and it's probably a good thing too, because I actually need to do some research. I want to be prepared, dude. When we do that podcast, I want to be locked in on my favorite conspiracy theories, and so I'm prepared. Do you have favorite conspiracy theories that you already know off the top of your head?
Ooh. Nothing too crazy.
I used to be fairly familiar with the JFK one after watching the JFK movie and then like reading things about it, like what was true, what was not true about the movie, different theories.
The Umbrella Man. I always like bringing up that one when people talk about JFK.
I don't buy that one at all.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
it's dumb, but yeah, I think it's just funny when it's like it's all these illegitimate like theories, and then it's like the Umbrella Man, a man with an umbrella hat with like that is gun. It's like he's the Penguin at that point.
Is that fueled by being a meme, or do people actually like take that seriously?
I mean, someone's bound to take it seriously.
Well, of course, but I'm saying majority. Yeah. Like,
I'd say I don't know.
What's the origin of that? Is that an origin of a meme or an actual?
I think it was a legitimate theory.
Oh.
That.
Okay.
Because it was like some person was like this guy in this looking outfit with the umbrella. He was at like 2 other assassinations or something like that, and JFK was no different. It's something like that. I haven't actually looked into it. Probably 7 years, probably more, almost a decade now. I just remember it, and I'm like, that's the basics of it. I'm always gonna reference it.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is that.
Yeah.
We hope you liked our Rocky rankings. We hope you liked our tease for some manic tangents.
Yeah.
And without further ado, I think we'll say adios, TJ.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed, and catch us on the next episode of the Manic Movie Misfits podcast. Peace.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
You're floating away.
Yeah. I floated into another dimension.